Season 1 of Black Ops 6 is here. Now with the update came a lot of new content, a whole bunch of weapon adjustments, and this is the first real proper balancing patch that Treyarch has pushed out for the Black Ops 6 multiplayer experience. Now, a lot of you probably are thinking about the changes made to Warzone. Today, I want to focus on all the changes made to multiplayer, how they've affected the tier list of all the weapons, because with all the experimentation people have been doing in the Gunsmith and all the balancing changes that were made in today's update, the power rankings have shifted pretty drastically from my first video of the top 10 guns in the game. So today I'm going to be giving you guys my updated list of the 10 best guns in Black Ops 6 following the Season 1 update. You can let me know where you agree or disagree, but mark my words, the multiplayer is going to look very different than it did. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Drop a like. And at number 10, the Marine SP. The pump shotgun that's gotten pretty popular since day one, but with the addition of incendiary shells, I told you guys this was going to happen, this thing has gotten even stronger. Now, the slugs did get nerfed pretty hard, but the base gun is absolutely insane. If you learn how to move with it, and the damage range can be cranked up, all that stuff with a solid barrel, it's crazy. On top of that, the incendiary shells. They give you this juicy boost to your capabilities, and overall, it's one of the best close-range guns in the game. The fire rate definitely puts a cap on how effective it can be at mid-range, where you'll need 2 to 3 shots to kill, but if you learn how to weave in and out of the enemy fire and aim down the sights quickly like the Nashor shotgun from Gears of War, the Marine SP is a top 10 weapon to me. Hands down the best shotgun in the game right now, although there isn't a lot of competition. At number 9 today, the GPR-91. Now, here's a gun I was not expecting to see in the top 10. I recently made a video ranking all the assault rifles in Black Ops 6. I said the GPR-91 was legitimately underpowered because of the handling and the low feeling damage. Treyarch gave it a pretty sizable buff with the Season 1 update, to the point, I think it's top 10. Granted, I don't think it's amazing, but it's definitely a pretty huge improvement from where it was before. The update not only buffed all the GPR's base damage values, but it also greatly sped up all of its handling traits to make it feel more like a mobile assault rifle and less like an underpowered LMG. You should notice the GPR feeling a lot more responsive after this update. It's going to be hitting a little harder as well. And even though the headshot multiplier was tuned down just a little bit, you're still going to notice a pretty massive difference in that headshot time to kill. So give the GPR one more try because it's actually shaping out to be a new fan favorite. At number 8, the SWAT 5.56. Now, it was initially seen as the best burst weapon in the game, but once people figured out how broken the later burst weapons were with rapid fire attachments, the SWAT was largely forgotten. Not anymore. Treyarch nerfed the burst rapid fire attachments into the ground with the Season 1 update, which means the SWAT is now the best burst rifle in the game again. It also got a pretty noticeable buff in the handling speed department, so it moves and aims down the sights a lot quicker than before while still maintaining a very generous one burst kill range. The fire rate is still on the slower side, yes, by default, but with the handling being so quick, it's not hard to stay on target. It's not hard to rip through enemies with 1 to 2 bursts before they can counter your attack, and a lot of people are going to stick with the other burst rifle just out of habit. But if we're talking about raw stats after buffs and nerfs, I think the SWAT is back to being the top dog for burst rifles. I do. Burst fire rifles. I mean, it's worth another look if you already put it down. At number 7, the Tarkov 7.62. The starting marksman rifle is nuts. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that. Semi-auto rifle, very low idle sway, pretty manageable recoil that completely can be erased with 1 or 2 attachments. But the main appeal of the rifle is the fact that it can get an insta-kill to the head from insane distances, and if you throw in a long barrel, you can basically kill people from anywhere with a single bullet. There are some downsides, like a rather low fire rate cap that prevents you from spamming, but also makes it hard to hit follow-up shots if you don't get the instant headshot. But at the end of the day, this rifle is completely insane once you get the hang of it. The clips that people are getting are kind of nuts. You have to go into this gun knowing it's not going to be easy, but once you figure it out, it's kind of ridiculous. At number 6 today, the PU-21, and Treyarch actually didn't touch it. Not at all with this update, but I'm going to put it on the list because you guys may be sleeping on it. I'm honestly amazed more people aren't using this because it's your starting LMG, so everyone has it unlocked, and yet hardly anybody is taking it into battle with him. Pick it up. I implore you. Easy handling, extremely generous damage. I mean, it can shred through enemies and kill streaks with ease. I know a lot of people are liking the XMG right now, rightfully so, but I also think the PU-21 is the better light machine gun. Give it a go. Let me know what you think. Even if it's a hot take, I don't know. I think it deserves a number 6 spot. I think it's really good. Now we arrive at the top 5. The PP-919. This is an SMG I left off my initial list of the top 10 best guns in Black Ops 6, and I think it's a gun that people overlooked when the game first dropped, including myself. It's also a gun that is getting more and more popular as people experiment with different attachments, and I think there's a chance it continues growing in popularity to the point that it becomes one of the most popular guns in the game. It's got a 64 round default mag. Wow. Super low recoil, moderate damage per shot, basically makes it an LMG and an SMG's body. You can hold down the trigger and spray away without having to worry about the reload animation. I know the default reload is slower, but since the default magazine is 64 rounds, I don't think it's a problem. It's rapidly growing in popularity and for good reason. Play around with it if you haven't already. I think there's a good chance you overlooked it during Season 0. I'll admit I did too. At number 4, the SOG. The SOG SMG has returned from Black Ops 4. While it's not quite as ridiculous as it was previously, it's still pretty good. In fact, I think there's a decent argument to be made it's the best SMG in the game right now because it's basically just a buffed version of the MP5 when you get down to the stats. Default mag, large. Fire rate hovers somewhere around the MP5's. Damage output is super consistent at close and mid-range. Recoil, it's almost non-existent. Now, it's instantly going to feel familiar to anybody who played Black Ops 4, and I think once people start experimenting with different gunsmith builds and attachment combinations, it's going to get pretty nutty. Using it with no attachments will surprise you, because by default, it's actually really good. Treyarch may or may not be nerfing this thing before you manage to unlock it in the Battle Pass, but be sure to pick it up off the ground. It's really good. At number 3, the AS Val. Now, bizarrely, Treyarch elected not to nerf the AS Val with this update, despite it being extremely dominant during the first few weeks of the game. So naturally, it's still a monster in multiplayer. I mean, the time to kill, handling speeds, built-in suppressor, versatility. It has a few drawbacks like it did before. You have that small default magazine, noticeable range drop-off. It can get you in trouble beyond mid-range, but the time to kill on it is its peak. It's a perfect gun for rushing, perfect gun for holding down objectives. You will have to grind up some attachments in order to offset that small mag and subpar default range value, but once you do that, you're off to the races. People are still spamming the AS Val as hard as they did when the update went live. I really don't blame them. It's strong. I'm honestly shocked Treyarch didn't nerf it, but if you thought the lack of an AS Val nerf was surprising, wait until we get to number 1, because you're going to be shaking your head. At number 2, the Krig C. It has returned from Black Ops Cold War. Frankly, I think it's going to end up being a problem if Treyarch doesn't nerf it. Still very early to judge this rival, and obviously many people have their hands, or have not got their hands on it. It's unlocked in the second half of your Battle Pass, but if you picked it up off somebody's body or you play around with it in a private match, you see what I see. Fire rate's high, the damage is, it's consistent. Doing some private match testing, I noticed the Krig C almost always kills with 4 bullets and had virtually no recoil with no attachments equipped. Time to kill, competitive. Range seems super generous as well. Again, it's basically always a 4-shot kill no matter the distance. With how easy this thing is to use and how consistent that damage output is, I have a gut feeling it's going to be one of the most popular guns in the game once more people grind the Battle Pass and get to it. Then again, Treyarch might nerf it before it reaches that point. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, the Krig C is the second best gun in Black Ops 6 multiplayer as of the start of Season 1, if you ask me. And at number 1... yeah, the XM4, still the best gun in the game. I said in a couple videos leading up to Season 1 I was expecting Treyarch to nerf it into the ground with how prevalent it's been since launch day, but believe it or not, they actually didn't nerf it at all. Not once. There was, that's not totally true. They did nerf a couple things about the XM4, but they actually buffed some other aspects of it, and it's pretty easily the best gun in the game still. Now, it did get a nerf to the headshot multiplier, but it also got a buff to all of its base damage values, so you're not quite getting as much bonus damage out of headshots anymore, but you're also going to notice body shots are feeling a lot more responsive now that all the minimum damage values have gone up. The gun is now an absolute maximum of a 6-shot kill to the body, which is kind of insane given how accurate it is at long range. So yeah, the XM4 is still the best gun in the game. Now, I'm sorry if you were hoping for some kind of change of pace. I know. But it looks like Treyarch really adjusts something about, or until they adjust something about the weapon, it's probably just going to dominate. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know one gun that was left off this list, and I'll see you soon.